Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. I'm GB, got Brian and Coop with me. What's going on?
So don't forget to say the
Going
date,
on?
January 7th, 2025.
Yeah, yep,
Yep,
yep. I
yep.
was
The
gonna let
day
y'all
that will
get
most
y'all.
certainly go down in infamy with all this stuff going down in LA.
Yeah, shout out to all our people in Southern Cal. Stay safe. A lot of fires
Mhm.
and it's fire season out here, so yikes.
Yep.
So definitely thoughts and prayers and all the hope in the world for people to just be safe, man. Looks like a lot of houses and devastation to buildings and edifices, but people's lives is the hope. So there it is, man. So that always thinking of the real, but we're here to talk sports is what we do on a weekly basis. And here we are on January the 7th, 2025, as Coop said, talking about the college football playoffs, talking about the NFL, and talking about a brand new golf league that started just today, the Tomorrow Golf League, the TGL. So let's start with the college football, man. It's only a few teams left. What's going down?
All right, B. Well, so let's start with the first game. It's only two games: Notre Dame and Penn State. How you feel about these teams? What do you think the outcome of the game will be?
So as we were talking about the last time we talked about college football playoffs, it's crazy to me that one side of the bracket were all the teams that I thought would be good, and the other side of the bracket was other teams. And so the Notre Dame Penn State game is kind of the other side of the bracket, if as far as I was concerned. But look, this is a solid game where both teams played pretty well. Notre Dame handled Georgia. I don't think they were ever close to really being in it. And Penn State just beat down Boise State, which shout out to them. They deserve to be there. They did what they were supposed to do, but they were not in the same class as Penn State. Look, you want me to make my pick first, or just
Yeah, go ahead.
stop there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
mean,
Oh, but actually, you can stop there. Now I'll go. Then you can make
yeah,
your
go
pick.
ahead. What do you
That's
got?
fine. Yeah. So, yeah, we both had both of these games. I said Penn State had a free ride to the Final Four after playing SMU and I think it was SMU and then and Boise State. Boise State, should have been there. I don't think they should have got a bye, but they definitely should have been in the playoff. The game was really never close. Penn State could have hung more points against them, but knew they had them pretty much in check. The good thing about this game is one of these coaches will get to the national championship. Unfortunately, none of them will win it, but at least they will get there, which is a pretty big accomplishment, especially for James Franklin, a guy who's been coaching for a while, doesn't really, I guess get over the hump, so to speak, and now he has a chance to get to the national championship game. And then Marcus Freeman, I think I gave him game ball or props or something last week. He's done a tremendous job at Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame is a national championship program. I don't think they can get the players in there that they would need to win a national championship, but to actually get there is a really huge accomplishment. He's a really good recruiter, and obviously he's a good coach. He's proved it. After saying that, who you got to win this game, Brian?
I'm going to rock with Notre Dame. The reason why is I just think that they played a stronger team. They've played stronger teams kind of throughout. I don't particularly have a huge favorite on this one. I think it easily could go either way. The spread's only 1.5. It could easily be 0.5. I don't think it really is much of a differentiator. But I'm gonna go with Notre Dame and just assume that they'll be able to find a way to make that happen.
Yeah. The best bet on this game is the under. If I've already bet the under 45 points, there won't be many points scored in this game. Penn State has a slightly better offense. Notre Dame has a slightly better defense, but Notre Dame's defense is slightly better than Penn State's offense. So I'm going with Notre Dame because of that in a very low scoring game. If it was 5 touchdowns in this game, I'll be thoroughly surprised. I think both of these teams are going to be conservative, and I just think it's going to be a low scoring game, but Notre Dame ultimately pulls it out and Marcus Freeman plays for the national championship. Next game, Ohio State and Texas. I finally got a game over you. You had Oregon. I had Ohio State. Ohio State just drubbed Oregon. I mean, I thought Ohio State should have won that first game. They weren't playing no games. That quarterback, you would have thought that Will Howard is a first round pick. He's not, but you would have thought he was the way he played against Oregon this past game. So good win for them. They play Texas. I know you've been high on Texas all year. So I'm really interested to see how you feel about this game. Ohio State is favored by 5.5, and the game is in Arlington, Texas, Brian. So who do you like?
Yeah, so the three teams that I've said all year that I thought were the three best were Ohio State, Texas, and Oregon. I actually thought Oregon was going to win, as you just said, and Ohio State just put a beat down on them to kind of make it even after the loss earlier, hoping the Vikings can follow suit this weekend. But anyways, I have to acknowledge that I think Ohio State right now is a better team than Texas. I just don't think Ewers has ever really gotten his whole moxie back since he got hurt. They're kind of doing this thing where they'll bring in Manning, and as the old saying goes, if you've got two quarterbacks, you have none. And so, I think they're a very, very talented team, but I just think Ohio State is on a streak right now. And I think they're going to keep on streaking.
Yeah, these are the games that Texas, Steve Sarkisian usually loses. They have the talent to beat Ohio State. I just don't think they will beat Ohio State. I mean, they definitely have players to beat Ohio State. But Ohio State looks like they're on a good run right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's my pick to win the national championship after how I saw them play against Oregon. I think this is Ohio State's championship to lose. And if it happens, they're a 6 seed. If it happens, I'm pretty sure they're going to talk about reseeding for the next playoff or some playoffs or whatever. But I got Ohio State winning this game. If Texas covers the spread and keeps it close, I would not be surprised. I mean, they got players on that team, but ultimately I expect Ohio State, who is the better coach team, I believe, more disciplined team, should win this game and play Notre Dame for the national championship.
It'll be really interesting to see, because I agree with you about Ohio State. I think they're on a run right now, and I think they're likely to keep it going. But 1 year after Michigan wins the national championship, and then Ohio State, who could not hold a candle to Michigan, not even this season, but
they still lost
last season.
Yeah.
Here they come and win the national the championship possibly. But yeah, it's easy to see how that can be. Ohio is a good team that's playing really well at the right time. So on and so forth. I don't know if we want to talk about the reseeding real quick.
No, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is I don't think they need to. It's just like the NFL, the division championship. Right now the Vikings have the tied for the second best record in all of football, only because they lost this past game, and they're a 5th seed. There's a bunch of 8 and 9, 9 and 7 teams and stuff like that are going to win divisions, win conferences, and the same thing goes in college football. The college conferences should get the early seeds and the one home game for winning the conference, because that's all they can be asked to do. But it would be nice, not necessarily to see reseeding, but to see them, when they say reseeding in the playoffs, they'll also take, the number 1 team will get the worst team remaining after the first round. But I know that TVs don't like those types of things. They want to be able to predict matchups and do the scouting and all that kind of stuff. But I like it when it's kind of a mixed bag where they're going to play the worst team possible. And that could be 2 or 3 teams. But anyways, I don't know that they need to do anything. It worked out this way, right? But we've seen things like this happen in the NFL playoffs, NBA playoffs. 5th, 6th, 7th seeds make championship games. The Lakers made it to the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago as a play-in.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to reseed either. I mean, it's just been 1 season since they started this. I don't think it's going to happen. They just were talking about it. I don't think anything's going to happen, not after 1 season. So yeah, so I'm with you on that. I agree. Nothing's going to happen. Everything's just fine right now. But other than that, Glenn, unless you got anything to add, we can move on.
I kind of saw the game in the background, but I wasn't paying attention. I ain't even gonna lie.
It's all good.
So let's do it. Slide into the NFL. So let's talk this last past week that just happened, and some key games, and then we'll go into the next week. So Ravens beat the Browns 10-35. Lock up where they're going to be. Yep. Yeah. Bengals beat the Steelers, but doesn't matter. Bengals hold on to win there. They win 19-17.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the thing is about that Steelers loss, that made the Chargers game against the Raiders mean something, because the Chargers got a chance to move up in seeding. If Pittsburgh would have won, then that Chargers games against the Raiders wouldn't have mattered. So that was an important game.
Yep. I will say that for a day, in a morning especially, where there's a bunch of games going on, where no team was playing another playoff team. It was always one crappy team and one playoff possible team in the instances that the second half, more importantly, the fourth quarter of those morning games became very, very interesting, because at one point in time, New Orleans was winning and Tampa Bay was losing, and it was just mass chaos, where all the things that needed to happen to get Cincinnati in were kind of happening at the same time. It was, just kind of a free-for-all for a moment there. Now everything kind of worked out as it was supposed to in the end, but for a few minutes there, it got real interesting. even, I mean, the Panthers Falcons game, which went into overtime,
Yeah.
couldn't have been more irrelevant going into that game. And then towards the end, almost towards the end, it became one of the must-see games of that day.
That
That's
was
a
crazy.
perfect transition. Panthers win 44-38. Put up
Yeah,
a bunch of
man.
points.
Man, Bryce Young he was playing his butt off, man. He did his thing, man. Happy to see him. You know,
Can you get
what's up, go ahead.
comeback player of the year in the middle of a season? Like, they don't do comeback player of the year now. That's for someone who's injured. Remember, they changed that rule this year. But like literally, he got benched and then came back in the middle of the season and he has played exceptionally well.
Yeah, he's actually throwing the ball accurately, man. They hung 44 in Atlanta. Atlanta, man, what a joke of a season, man. They had an easy schedule, paid a quarterback, Kirk Cousins, millions of dollars, and they don't even make the playoffs, man. What a disaster they got going on over there. But man, Carolina's that team this year, man. They started winning games into the season, got hot. I'm not sure, keeps up next year, but good for him and his confidence.
It was definitely cool to see the last half. Texans beat the Titans 23-14, so they stay where they're going to stay, win their division. The Texans do, so they're going to host a playoff game. Giants and Eagles. Eagles barely beat the Giants 13-20, but that game they had people resting on the Eagles side.
Shows you how bad Giants are. Hurts is still hurt. Saquon didn't play. I don't think the receivers played, and they still lost. Shows how bad the Giants are.
And that's how it should be.
Well,
right?
This was also a game where the Giants clearly wanted to make sure. Towards the end of that game, the Giants coaches were handicapping themselves. I think they knew. They also kept their jobs. So
I was about to say they're not getting fired.
They got a thing saying, you all win this game, I guarantee you won't have a job. They lose the game and both of them kept the job. Coach
so I have a different theory on that. I think the coach and GM kept their job because I don't think the New York Giants owner wants to go on another coach and GM search. To be honest with you, older owners don't want to do that. Older owners do not want to fire people quick. They want to try to make it work. So and everybody praised the hires of both of them from Buffalo. So we'll see. Yeah, but they kept their jobs. Next game, GB.
Jaguars lose to the Colts 23-26. That game ends up being meaningless.
But I got something to say about the Jaguars, man. They got this general manager named Trent Baalke, used to be general manager of the 49ers. I don't understand how he keeps a job. He drafted a draft class for the 49ers with LaMichael James and all that. Those guys were off the team. Everybody drafted in 3 years. They were all gone. Jacksonville done a horrible job drafting.
I've seen that.
Yet he keeps his job. I don't get it. And he throws the coach under the bus. He's hired about 6 or 7 coaches. Only one worked, Jim Harbaugh. That was it. He's hired a lot. He's about to hire another coach too. So I don't understand how he keeps his job. But that's what I'd say about Jacksonville. I don't get it. I can't ever take him seriously as long as he's on there. Next game.
Saints lose to the Buccaneers 27-19. Mike Evans goes 11 seasons in a row with 1,000 yards. That was cool to see their celebration there.
I like Mike Evans.
Saints lose again, no surprise.
But I don't know if you guys watched that game, but Saints was up for a while in that game. They were up. Yeah, the Saints were up. They were up by double digits in the first half, and it looked like the Tampa Bay was going to lose that game. They were down by 6, I believe, 19-13. Yeah. And then they ended up coming back to win 20-19, Brian. But man, going back to Trent Baalke, dude, I don't get it. Why does this guy has to? I want to learn how to politic like him. Because that's what he's doing. He's politicking.
You're gonna like this dude. You don't went backwards. We got. I think Brian might have got kicked with the fires and the power dropping and all the stuff out there. So hopefully everything's smooth over there.
Yeah. You want to move on? Let's talk about your division though, man. Denver and Kansas City. Kansas City. I said last week. Oh, go ahead. What's the next game? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. There's because he might have some things to say. So Bills lose to the Patriots. That's a meaningless game. It means nothing.
Right.
And then
what about Gerard Mayo getting fired? What you think about that?
It kind of feels the same situation like ours, which I'll talk about. I mean, you got 1 year on some he's here. Let's see what he could do. If you somehow win, you may keep your job, but most likely you weren't going to win enough games to keep that job, and it's a holdover, so they could figure out who they want to get the next year.
I think that situation is different, but we could talk about it later. Go ahead.
That's gonna happen. What do you think? I mean, we got time. We're already on the Patriots.
I think the Patriots job is different than Antonio. Gerard Mayo getting the Patriots job is different than Pierce because Mayo got his job on a different circumstance. Robert Kraft said 4 or 5 years ago he was going to be the successor to Robert Kraft. Whereas Antonio Pierce
to Belichick.
Right. But as Antonio Pierce got the job because Devontae liked him, and so did Max Crosby. But Devontae didn't like him this season, but he liked him last season. That's how he got. So it was sort of different. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
different cases. It was more like, this guy Gerard Mayo has been with the Patriots forever.
Okay.
So it's
That's
more
fair.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
a wait and see type of thing. Whereas Antonio Pierce, this guy's a defensive line coach. You make him head coach after a few games. Like, yep,
Linebacker.
yeah, he's a defensive line coach.
Yeah, I thought he was linebacking coach.
No, yeah,
Was he?
like,
Was he
no,
D-line
yeah,
with
yeah,
Max and
D-line,
him?
like, yeah, like Jim Tom Sula and all these other. But we'll talk about that later though,
Yeah.
because the Raiders
Yeah.
job is interesting.
We're coming
Because
up right now.
I got a question to ask you about that job. So
Yeah, we're coming up right now because I was
Yeah.
actually at this game. Raiders lose to the Chargers 34-20. My hate tour continues, bro. I was watching the game, but I will say this. Harbaugh, and talking about our division, as you were saying, because we're getting there. Harbaugh with the Chargers, the Broncos with Sean Payton, both all I don't remember who I was talking to today. It was KMBR I was listening to today. All three AFC West rivals of ours have their coach and their quarterback.
Then but also you gotta think of one thing. They paid money. You can't go cheap on coaches. They're not paying $3 million a year. They pay money for these coaches.
We went heavy on the payment with John Gruden.
Gruden,
You're
yeah,
still
you
paying
did.
Gruden. And Gruden
did.
can coach, bro. Like listening to Gruden, I understand why you'd want to pay for him. He knows the game, etc. Got them dumbass emails. This gets the guy kicked out. So for us, AP felt like one of those. My thoughts are like we had Basacci in there. Basacci didn't get a real shot at it, and I don't know that he wanted to be head coach or they want him as head coach or whatever. Fine. We get Josh McDaniels again, trying to make a name, trying to pay somebody. That doesn't work. AP comes in. He's the voice of reason. People like him. Galvanize the team. We win some games at the end. And now you got Antonio Pierce. So, you give him the job for the year because you had just lost Versace or whatever. Okay, let me try it this time. AP gets a job for a year. It doesn't, it don't turn out that way. He was going to have to win 8 or 9 games, right?
I don't think so.
At least. But with the roster and the injuries we had, it was going to be very difficult to do so. So
I see that situation differently. I'll let Brian chime in after this. I see that situation differently. With Pierce, just tell me the last time it's worked when a position coach has been elevated to head coach. Exactly, just him. Out of all, there's been a lot of people. Joe Judge, there's been Jim Thompson, there's been a whole lot of people. And think about it, if you lose 10 straight games, your roster's not that good. You don't have any depth, and your roster's not that good.
Yeah, we had major injuries too. We were not built in a way that was going to sustain a team that was trying to come up and figure their identity out, losing that many players. We barely lost more than the Lions. However, the Lions have built culture over years, depth, etc. So I'll give you that. But it's going to be difficult to it's going to be difficult to win with that roster, especially with all those injuries.
Yeah, the next coach has to come from Tom Brady. It can't come from Mark Davis. Like I said before when he got hired, I just don't trust anything Mark Davis puts his hands on. I think it has to come from Tom Brady. And then think about Gerard Mayo. I think the Patriot way, it's already been done. I think the Patriot way, I think it's over. All these Patriot guys under Bill Belichick's umbrella, it's just not working.
We're about to get Vrabel. So we'll see.
Brian, so we went through the New England game, Buffalo. We didn't talk much about it. Then we went through and talked about the Pierce and the Raiders and Chargers Raiders score. What do you think Pierce got?
Good is dealing with power outages.
You think Pierce should have got let go?
Yeah, just dealing with power outages. No, I don't think Antonio Pierce should have got let go. It shouldn't happen that way. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything that's substantial enough to get to that point. But that's the Raiders have been making wrong personnel decisions for a while. So this is no surprise that they're making this one now.
Okay, so out of all these coaches, let's think of these coaches that have got fired after 1 year. Urban Meyer, Chip Kelly with the Niners, David Culley, Joe Judge, Jim Thompson, all these guys that got fired after a year. Name me one of these coaches where you'd be like, man, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have fired him after a year. It's never happened because they never should have been head coaches in the first place. I think with the team being inept offensively, I don't think you can have Pierce as your head coach. I'm sorry. Yeah. And Max Crosby, he said, if we don't start winning, I'm going to want to leave. And so this guy Pierce, he just has to go, and the Raiders just have to start fresh with another coach. Glenn says the roster isn't that bad. If it's not that bad, the next coach will be able to bring it out of them.
Yeah, well, I'm saying we weren't good enough to have that many injuries to keep starters. You don't have a culture like that. You're trying to come up. You don't know your quarterback is. You don't have the kind of depth. And the rookies are playing cool. Like Telesco, the GM, has made the guys he signed off the streets have been good, but it's just not enough to win no kind of games in the NFL. It's just not going to be enough. So,
do you think the Raiders are a good job? That's what I want to ask you both. You think that's a good job?
Yeah, I mean,
bro, you got. Job?
is the Raiders' job. I don't think Jacksonville's a good job. I think that's the worst job because Trent Baalke is the GM. But do you think the Raiders is a good job?
Well, you know my thought, but I think it's always is. You just got to turn it around. You got the facilities, you got the money, you got the ownership, you got all the other stuff. You just got to figure out how to get the most out of the players. To your point, players, you can get free agents now. People who want to come there. You have the whole situation. You have the chance to turn it around. It's just making it happen. Like you guys have said, the personnel decisions haven't got us there. Gruden was doing all right. We were on the road to the playoffs and we made the playoffs that last year,
Yeah,
but
he made one. Yeah.
you know, that was the third year or whatever it was, fourth year of him in there.
Yeah.
So right when it was might have done something, he's out. So
I guess
I
we'll
don't
have to
know.
see.
We got to see.
And your
So
your coaching search is actually one of the more fascinating things to me. That and the Bears coaching search, to be honest with you, to see who coaches those teams.
I don't know how
I mean,
tight
shit.
Vrabel are, and all right, yeah, B's handling some technical stuff. So Coop, we holding it down.
Let's
I
go.
don't know how tight Vrabel and Brady are, but I think that could be your coach. If
Yeah, but
they're
and
actually
Vrabel,
tight, I
yeah,
can see them. I can
and
see that.
Vrabel did not coach under Belichick. He left. He
Right.
bounced. So he's not a Belichick guy. So
He's had success too from
he's
the
had
beginning.
success
He got
with
fired with a fairly successful season.
with mediocre quarterbacks. He's had mediocre quarterbacks. He ain't had the best
Yes,
quarterbacks, and he's done his thing. So
correct.
all right, next game you want to go to?
Correct. You guys are up. 49ers and Cardinals apparently played football, and the 49ers
Oh, got
put up
blown.
24 points and got 47 hung on their head.
Perfect end to the season. Good. I like losses. You know what losses do? Losses bring clarity. That's what it does.
That's
it brings
true.
clarity. Okay. And there needs to be some not soul search. There needs to be some tough conversations in that building about players and where to go forward. So good. I'm glad we got blown out. I'm glad it wasn't close so people can think, oh, we're just a player away. Because a lot of people lie to themselves saying that. We're a player away. Nah.
Not on the radio, man. I've been listening to
Yeah.
KMBR out here. Shout out to them
Man, I
for free,
wanna
I
hear all
guess.
that.
But man, they on them.
And get some people that are under 30 who know how to play football. But yeah. Mhm.
B, you said at the beginning of the year, there's no way that they could possibly win a Super Bowl.
Not an
I didn't know it was
iota
going to
of
be like.
chance.
I didn't know it was going to be like this.
I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to be this bad either, because they earned the right to want to lose games at the end of the season. You have to earn that right by losing a whole bunch when the game still had meaning. But they got to this point, and taking the L from a weak division team like the Cardinals that they haven't had much respect for.
Spanked.
I don't see how you can write that off as a good thing. I understand that you want to lose for draft position and all that kind of stuff.
Not even draft position, just lose. I mean, for what? Why beat them?
But
yeah,
nothing to play for.
Well, because there's a certain superiority complex that the 49ers have had over other division teams for quite some time.
Yeah,
and it is gone.
Right now. This season,
they're gonna have to work hard to earn that back.
I think we lost to every team in our division. I think we like 1-5 in the division this year.
And no Purdy. I didn't realize he wasn't playing.
No, Josh Dobbs played.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what's the point? I mean, look, this is good for the Cardinals, but I mean, let's just think about it. What has Kyler Murray and the Cardinals done since he's been there? They've done nothing. I think win the one playoff game since he's been there. So
right, except smack y'all up this past week.
Right. This win, week 18, is good for them. Have that week 18 victory. Congratulations. Yeah.
It
means something to them.
Like I said, the 49ers have enjoyed a long period of having a superiority complex. It's been well known that they either don't make the playoffs or make the NFC championship for a very, very long time. But even when they didn't make the playoffs, they still found ways to win games in the division. Right? They still owned Seattle for a good period of that time. They still usually split or at least played well with the Rams, and they usually beat the smack out of the Cardinals. This year was different in that they couldn't win. They didn't make the playoffs. And they couldn't beat division teams.
That stat that you mentioned since 2002, either we don't make the playoffs, make the championship. That means when we're bad, we're bad. That's pretty much what it means. When we're bad, we're bad.
Again, we're not good. In those situations, though, they've still beat division teams. The Cardinals and the Seattle. But anyways, look, not much to say about this game because it ultimately was irrelevant.
We said a lot.
Well, I said a lot at the beginning of the season. I was just reminding people that I said it way back then. That's all I was.
No, they got I'm
gonna put that on their check mark.
Shit.
Correct.
You also become a victim of your own success too. You start having them first place schedules because y'all played playoff team after playoff team was getting smacked. It gets tough.
And Jason, I'm not saying this about you because I do think that you are a more realistic fan of a team than most. But there's a whole lot of San Francisco 49er fans, man, that just they could not hear reality if it hit them in the face with and all season it's we're gonna turn this around and Purdy's worth 60 million and all this other stuff. I see it here in Los Angeles, and I'm sure you all saw it down this over there. So
they tell me you ain't a real fan. Like, no, I'm just realistic. Okay.
Yeah.
We need to do some changes.
Some people say the same thing about me because of the Vikings. I'm like, no, it's not. Like I want them to do well.
Right.
I'm just not sure I believe in what's going on right now. And, because I've been a little skeptical of them all season long. But anyways,
2 seasons.
Moving on.
And the 49ers are going to fire the defense coordinator once again. So, another one. Yeah. So, anyway, keep going.
You can get Robert Saleh back.
Yeah.
All right. So then you have the Chiefs lose to the Broncos. They didn't care. Broncos put up 38, though, 38-0.
Yeah, I said I've seen the Chiefs backups play. They're not good. Carson Wentz, but the thing is, though, Chiefs were never winning to let the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs. That just wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. Bengals were not getting into the playoffs at all. The Chiefs had to win. So, Denver had to win to get in. They took the game seriously, of course, because Kansas City didn't need it, and Denver got in. So it's whatever. It's what it is.
I don't know. That Bengals defense ain't. I don't. If the Broncos have played better, why would you want them in there? Just because they're division, or because they're weak?
Bengals have actually they don't play tight against Kansas City. Buffalo and Baltimore play tight against Kansas City, and they make mistakes. But Cincinnati doesn't. Even though their defense is bad, they fired everybody on their staff.
Yeah,
they fired the defense coordinator and a bunch of people. Yeah,
well, the Broncos. I mean, if they're so good, I don't know why you'd want them in, but it don't matter. It's not like you got to play the games anyway. Seahawks beat the Rams 30-25. I don't think the Rams need that game, right?
No, they didn't play anyone either. They recognized. Well, quite honestly, they announced days in advance that they weren't going to play their guys, even if the game had value. They were just going to take the seed change. So
Jimmy G threw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns in a pick.
You want him back?
Hey, bro, don't do that.
They're just asking.
Don't do that. Damn, that was cold. All right, I'm sorry. I take that back. Dolphins.
Also had 4 touchdowns. So
seen that. Dolphins lose to the Jets. Tyreek wants out.
Of course, Tyreek wants out. He don't have a quarterback, man. He left Kansas City. Now he's playing irrelevant games in Miami.
He went for the bread. I feel no sympathy for that man. He got what he asked for. True. He wanted all the money. Yep. He wanted quarterback money because he thought he was that level of important, same level of importance as Mahomes. And he went there to get that. You cannot be surprised. Now, the problem is they're paying Tua the same kind of money Mahomes is getting. But a team is a team, right? A football team. There's so many important positions. It's not just the quarterback. It's not just the wide receiver and the line or anything else. Just look at Cincinnati, who has a really outstanding quarterback playing outstanding and can't win anything. But Tyreek got what he asked for. I don't know where he's going to go. We're getting the money he needs to have 14 children and be able to have the rest of the team around him.
I think he's like 16 in cap hit this year, though, like in actual cash. But next year it's crazy. But you can realize
he's not playing in meaningful games with Miami. He has an average quarterback, whereas he played in meaningful games.
Meaningful game in his career, in my opinion.
Well, I guess we'll see where he goes. Yeah,
you never know where cats get picked up.
He definitely wants out.
It'll be years down the line when he gets those OBJ contracts. It's not going to be
1 year.
Now where he thinks he's
1 year mercenary.
Yeah. Teams do a lot of interesting things, but to your point, playoff teams often don't. But there's a lot of sometimes they pull in guys, so we'll see.
I can see Tyreek going to a playoff team,
and we've seen this happen enough times where they haven't, or a few times they have. So, all right. So the biggest game, Vikings Lions.
Brian, you start with this one.
Yeah, you could take it all the way. I ain't got nothing to say on it.
This was a drubbing.
Okay, did we lose him?
Brian might have lost power. Okay, I'll start on this game. Okay.
Right, we did it. His face shows it all, though. That's pretty.
Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell got worked in this game. They got absolutely worked by Aaron Glenn, the defense coordinator for the Detroit Lions. It didn't matter how many people was out for Detroit. They blitzed Darnold on half his throws in the first half, and Darnold couldn't do anything. Darnold, I think, airmailed 8 throws in the game, just way off at high. Yeah, a high target. He was 1 for in the first half. Sam Darnold was 1 for 9 throwing in the red zone. 1 for 9. He was horrible. I mean, the game probably was a little bit too big for Sam Darnold, man. And that's the thing. If you want to pay a guy like that kind of money, He better
But
be able to handle
The
stuff like
Lions
that.
got a defense though, right? Like
No,
I
they
don't
got
how
injured.
the Vikings offensive line play.
The 49ers just hung 30 on that defense easily.
Mm.
And you can't go 1 for 9 in the red zone in the playoffs against a playoff team. You just can't. And that's what he did. And it kind of cost them. So, I mean, they just got worked. I mean, I got to give Aaron Glenn a lot of credit. He blitzed, he went after Darnold, and Darnold just didn't play well in this game, man. And then they need Flores. Flores has to keep Minnesota in games from to win playoff games. And this Rams game is going to be interesting. I would like to get Brian's take on it when we talk about it later on the Rams and Vikings. But let's start with Vikings in Detroit. Brian, how'd you feel about the game?
I felt like I knew this was going to happen. I was talking to people, friends, and you all, and even on the show last week, and there was no point. I said when I picked the Vikings that I'm picking them as a fan, not because I think it's the right pick.
Yeah.
And this game got ugly pretty quickly. But it's the same problem, and you guys can't see I'm emphatic because I turned off the thing. I've now called in on my mobile phone because I have no power. It's dark in here and all night. But
Crazy.
anyways, I'm here to tell you. The Vikings have had the same problem all season. They get inside the 10-yard line and they cannot convert it to a touchdown, and they settle for field goals. The only difference between this game is they got inside the 10-yard line, went for it on 4th down, didn't get it on 4th down, and then got no points instead of the 3 points they were going to get before. After that, after the first half, basically the game just got out of hand, and Detroit did what they do better than any team in the league, which is twist their foot when they they're on someone's throat. But the Vikings have got to figure out you can't win playoff games if you can't score inside of the 10-yard line. When I watched Cam Akers bust that 45-yard run, I literally turned to someone and yelled, "Shit, they're not going to score." And they're like, "What are you talking about? You just broke a run to the 5-yard line for 45 yards." I said, "Yeah, they cannot score." 10-yard line. Sure enough, they ended up kicking a field goal. And you just can't win games that way. I knew that was going to happen. It was my big worry. I think that the second half is not indicative of the team. You start pressing when you get behind. You start trying to figure out ways to come back big. You start going for it on 4th downs to try and make touchdowns instead of field goals. But there's no doubt in my mind that the better team won that game, and the Vikings have got to scrap how to make their offense catch up with their defense. Played well. I know they scored a whole bunch of points, but that's because there was a whole bunch of opportunities. They got interceptions, they got turnovers, they almost scored a touchdown on defense. They did a lot of things right on defense, but you can't give a team like Detroit 30 opportunities to score and be surprised when they score 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, they did get a couple of interceptions off of Jared Goff too. I really thought Minnesota had a chance to win this game because of what I saw what San Francisco did to them offensively. If San Francisco hung 30 on them, it looked like it was pretty easy. If it wasn't for 2 Brock Purdy interceptions, they probably would have hung close to 40 against them. So I really thought Minnesota had a chance to win this game. So I know you weren't surprised. I know I was shocked at the final outcome of this game. I didn't see it going down. I'm not saying it wasn't possible, but I really didn't see this game going down like that. I thought it was much closer. The only thing I thought that was crazy was the total. The total was 56.5 points. I thought that was absolutely crazy. It wasn't going to be that high with the number 1 seed, in the balance. But, I don't know. I do got a question for you, Brian. So I've been hearing that Kevin O'Connell wants a new deal because he's going into the new his last year of his deal. And people are talking about that teams might be able to trade for him. How do you feel about that? Do you want to keep O'Connell or do you want to pay him?
Oh, so here's the thing.
Keep or lose him. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here's the thing. He's already come out and said he does not want to leave. Yes, he wants the new deal because he wants the security of having multiple more years, but he does not want to leave. I believe him. He just seems like he just has always struck me as someone who's honest. As far as me,
it's a good job too.
Say again.
It's a good job too. Like, why would you?
Well, yeah, he kind of resonated Sam Darnold.
Super talented.
Yeah.
By the way, as we mentioned earlier in this in the season on the show, they have like the 4th best cap situation in the league next year. I don't know how or why, but they do. And so, there's a very good reason to think that this team can be even better than they were this year, which was supposed to be a throwaway year. People forget. We talked about this season as a throwaway year for the Vikings. The fact that they're even here is miraculous. What Darnold has done and what having a rookie quarterback like McCarthy does for the salary cap and the whole team, this is miraculous so that they can be better. So I know Kevin O'Connell doesn't want to leave, and I know why. I want to keep Kevin O'Connell, although I have a lot of problems with his inability to run an offense that's dynamic inside the red zone. It's super great between the 20s. They score big plays all the time. They're great on defense because of Flores. But they've got to be able to score those gridded out red zone touchdowns, either on the ground or in short passing, which they have not been able to do all season. That said, there is nobody who's looking for a head coaching job who's going to be any better than Kevin O'Connell. And so what I would have said if I had an opportunity to talk about the stuff with Antonio Pierce, the problem is the market is bare. There's no clear Dan Campbell out there where they have the possibility of picking that person up. And Kevin O'Connell has proven that he is an outstanding coach. What he has done with Sam Darnold, what he did before with Kirk Cousins, you can see the results of what Kirk Cousins was in Washington before he came, what he was while he was here, which is very serviceable. What Darnold has been this year, given his history, very, very serviceable. I don't think there's any reason to not give him that opportunity. Is he perfect? Heck no. Who is? But he's a hell of a lot better than anyone else who's on the market. There's very few people who are employed that I would want more. Maybe Harbaugh in Baltimore. Maybe McVay in Los Angeles, and Reed, of course. But there's very few coaches in the league that I think are as good a coach as Kevin O'Connell can be. And he's in his third year as a coach. I think he's an outstanding talent, and I hope we do for him what Pittsburgh has done for Tomlin and their other coaches, and keep him around and let him figure it out.
Word.
Yeah,
All right, so let's slide to the games, man. Starting with the first game, Los Angeles Chargers at Houston Texans, 1:30 p.m. Saturday. They play. The line is -3. Chargers over under 42.5.
Yeah, I've been down on Houston all year. Yes, they won division's not good, but I've been down on Houston. The Chargers, they're not going to beat good teams. They've lost to the teams that they're supposed to lose to: Kansas City, Baltimore, etc. They lost to the teams they're supposed to go to. They're supposed to lose to because they don't have enough on offense. They need another wide receiver. They need a tight end. They need a running back. Harbaugh just wanted to build the lines and make sure they could play decent enough defense to sort of win games this year. So I got them beating the Houston Texans. Nothing against the Texans, but what they did last year, they couldn't duplicate this year. They were not that talented last year. They were okay. This year, they kind of dropped off. CJ Stroud hasn't played as well. Maybe it has something to do with, I don't know, people figuring out the offense or something. I don't know. I haven't dissected it, but I'm taking the Chargers to win this game. They're favored on the road, which is rare that teams are favored on the road in the playoffs, but I'll take the Chargers, Brian. What about you?
I'm with you. I know this is going to hurt Glenn because
No, I'm not surprised you guys take the Chargers. I'm not hurt at all. That's y'all favorite.
Funny.
But yeah, no. I think that the type of game plan that the Chargers will have, where it'll be, they'll try and keep it low scoring. They're not trying to go over the top a whole lot. Ladd McConkey has shown that he is really this year's version of Puka Nacua, and I think they have enough pieces. I think it's also amusing. We just to mention it that Ezekiel Elliott signs with the Chargers. Yeah. We can go back and play the Texans, obviously, from Dallas. But anyways, I think the Chargers are going to find a way to win this game. I don't know that they're going to go much further than that, but I think they did the right thing by finding the right part of the bracket. The same way we were talking about, Penn State and Notre Dame and all those, and Boise State and all them, and in college football. The same thing can be said for the Chargers in the AFC playoffs.
So, Glenn, I'm taking Houston this game.
I wouldn't be surprised if Chargers win. They played. I mean, I was watching them play, bro. I wasn't like, I know, and it could be hate or whatever. I just like Harbaugh and Sean Payton. I think are doing great to do what veteran coaches would do: set up a solid game plan that'll beat most teams. It's not anything super flashy. It's you play solid defense, you run the ball, throw the ball when you need to, don't make mistakes. You can win a lot of games that way. It'll get you to playoffs. I don't think it's Super Bowl winning football. Against Houston, you probably can. Houston hasn't had a great year. So I don't know, if they can get hot maybe, but like losing Tank and just not having the firepower that they did. Diggs got hurt early in the season. They thought he might be an addition. They need a lot to go right in order to win that game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Harbaugh gets his first
Denver's
win.
Denver's roster is better than the Chargers. Chargers getting to the playoffs is an accomplishment as it is because they don't have enough offensively. to really, make noise. But
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
so many
hard.
teams are weak this year. It's if you beat those teams, you'll make the Denver make the playoffs. We just couldn't beat them. All right, so the next game, speaking of Denver, Denver at Buffalo, 10 a.m. on Sunday.
We skipped the other Saturday game.
Oh, my
Steelers
bad.
Ravens.
Yeah, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Line is Baltimore by minus 9.5 over under 43.5. 5
I know Brian's
p.m.
taking Pittsburgh, so go ahead, Brian.
I'm absolutely not taking Pittsburgh, but this is look. The Steelers had a great run against the Ravens, but the Ravens figured it out, and now that they've figured it out, it's a free for all. I think the Ravens will probably be able to win this game comfortably. I'm not going to say that they're going to beat them because the Steelers always find a way to play tight and play strong and all those good things. But I don't think there's any reason whatsoever to expect that the Ravens are going to do anything other than, kind of win their way through a lot of these games. Right now, I might pick them to win a Super Bowl, but we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I would give
Coop.
I would give the Steelers a chance if they were about winning championships, but they're not. Their whole perception of that whole organization is just to go 9-8, and then that's it. They haven't been a Super Bowl contender in over a decade. They ain't won a playoff game since 2016, and they haven't beaten a good quarterback in the playoffs in God knows how long. This is the Steelers now. They just have to go 9-8, and everybody praises them for being great. They don't want to win Super Bowls. Just go average.
They went 10-7.
Oh, great for them. All
Same
right.
as the- same as-
Look, here's
it's
the thing.
funny, same as the Chargers.
This was a throwaway year for the Steelers too. I mean, this was not meant to have Justin Fields and Russell Wilson lead them to the promised land. But
Man,
yeah,
they ain't been to the playoff. They ain't won a playoff game since 2016. Every year
they don't have the talent. You got to have the horses. You tell me that the rest of the team is super talented and it's just Mike Tomlin coaching away, which some of these Steelers fans are delusional enough to believe, but they don't have talent on that team. I mean,
10 years, they ain't been a contender to win anything. I got the Ravens.
They got to build a team to be a contender.
10 years.
It's not coaching.
Okay, I'm just saying. I got the Ravens big in this game. Big, real big. I mean, I'm expecting like against Cleveland type of score, like big, 20 points. Easily.
Yeah. The Steelers play them pretty tight in past games.
Always have. They actually win.
Last game they lost by what, 10? I think it's gonna be by more.
But that was the first time. Oh, well, that's what the spread is, 10. But prior to that win, Steelers had always locked up Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and I've said I used to bet the Steelers. Yeah, but it's the playoffs now.
Yep.
It's not the football. It beat them last time. I think the Ravens have just figured out the formula and figured out how to adjust.
Yeah, I think Steelers are just season's over now. So they went 10-7. They went 10-7. They accomplished everything they need to do.
Season over now. All right.
Yeah.
You got so now thanks for catching that beat. Now you're at Denver at Buffalo, 10 a.m. on Sunday. Buffalo by minus 8.5. Right? And I'm looking at ESPN.
Why does this game have a lower spread than the Ravens Steelers? Like I feel like the Bills should. Maybe there's a weather factor because it says it's going to be cold, 29 degrees, but it says it's going to be clear. There's no snow in the forecast. I don't see why the Bills. I mean, the Bills are going to win this game, but whether or not, I think it's easy to see them beating them by 14 or more. To be honest.
I think they have a lower spread because Denver's a better team than Pittsburgh. They have a better roster, but I still don't expect Denver to win. I'm not taking Bo Nix on the road in Buffalo. It seems like Buffalo's always playing these morning playoff games. It seems like they always play these games. But yeah, I'm taking Buffalo. Bo Nix on the road. I'm good. I mean, good for Sean Payton.
1 p.m. It's 1 p.m. on East Coast.
Yeah, but good for Sean Payton and Bo Nix to make the playoffs, but it ends here. So I expect Buffalo to make their Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're the second. They're the second. I mean, them and the Steelers are clearly not not as good as the top of the AFC, where there's some really good teams, right?
Well, the Steelers spread is more head scratching because they play the Ravens all the time. This is the division opponent that they're playing for the third time, and that spread is hella high. That's a lot of disrespect for the Steelers. That doesn't happen.
Why? You just said that they won by 10 last time.
Because it's a division opponent. You played them twice already. Their spread should never be that high.
And the game was a 10-point spread. They're literally all they did was go. How much did they beat them by last time? Great, make that the spread.
Make it again.
It wasn't like rocket science.
GB.
Word. Yeah, I already know. But I feel the same way about them and the Chargers. Anyway, Green Bay at Philly, 1:30 on Sunday. Line is minus 4.5 Philly, over under 44.5 points.
Yeah, this one's interesting, man, because Hurts is still banged up. Love is banged up along with Christian Watson. He's banged up. It wouldn't surprise me if Green Bay wins this game, but when Hurts and AJ Brown play this year, they're 11-0. I'm kind of worried about Hurts, to be perfectly honest, which I think even if he plays, something's not right with that concussion that he had. I don't think he's going to be 100%. I'm not saying I'll take Green Bay this game. I'll take Green Bay.
Man, you're supposed to take Philly so I can be like, I'm gonna go with the underdog and go with Green Bay. But yeah, I think the Packers. I think the Packers are better than even they think they are. And I talk to Packer fans who are kind of so down on their team, and I'm like, look, all you've lost to are top playoff teams all season long. I know that it doesn't feel good, but they've played all these other teams extremely well all season. They lost to the Eagles, but they only lost by 5 points, and that was kind of the beginning of the season. So I don't know. I just have a feeling that the Packers are going to find a way to neutralize Hurts. Barkley, I think, is going to do his thing, but I think Packers can find a way to win this game by neutralizing Hurts.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like it's a 5-point game. It seems like it's a 2-3 point game to me, but I'm gonna go with Green Bay.
All they did was they looked at the last score and said it's a 5. The Eagles won by 5. Yeah. They put 5 down. I mean, this is not. That's what the spread was for the season opener between these two.
I know that. Okay. All
okay.
Right.
Washington at Tampa Bay, 5 p.m. on Sunday. Tampa Bay -3 over under 50.
Go ahead, B.
Taking Tampa Bay. I just think the fireworks of one, they're at home. It's good weather. You don't have to worry about a lot of the problems that other people have to worry about. It'll be 55 degrees. It'll be an evening game, but it'll be nice a nice weather game, which Tampa thrives in, and they've got more firepower than the Buccaneers. I understand that the Commanders have the better record. I understand that they have probably more talent, but this game is set up to give the Buccaneers a chance to win because they won the division. They get it at home, and they've proven that in these types of shootout type games that Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Bucky Irving are a whole load to deal with.
Yeah, Tampa Bay can beat anybody at home. Any team, they can beat anybody at home. Washington's getting a lot of love. Spread's only 3 points was definitely surprising. They're getting a lot of love on these spreads, man. I don't get it, but I'm definitely taking Tampa Bay this game. Definitely. I think it's a double-digit win for Tampa Bay. I think Todd Bowles goes crazy on Jaden Daniels.
We're gonna see how the young bug plays, man. I don't know. I think they may surprise. It'll be closer than we think, I bet.
Well, I have both these teams going to playoffs for the season in the beginning of the season, so I'm happy they made it, but I think it ends for Washington.
Okay. And then last game, Monday, Minnesota Vikings at LA Chargers, 5 p.m. Line is Minnesota -1 over 47.5.
It opened at 1.5. It's already down a half point. That just shows that there's a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
No, it opened. No, Brian. It opened as a pick'em. It was a pick'em. Then money went on to Minnesota -2, and it came down to 1.5. It was a pick'em. Oh, I don't think. Okay, I think we lost Brian. So yeah, this spread was a pick'em. It was even. Money came in early to Minnesota -2, and now we're at -1. I'm taking. I'm sorry, I gotta take the Rams at home in this one. I think they'll be ready. They beat Minnesota. They were one of the teams that beat Minnesota this year. I think they only lost to the Rams.
Barely though. Didn't they get away with some crazy call at the end of the game?
I think so. I don't remember, but it was a road game, and Minnesota just doesn't. I've said it last week. They don't, or a couple weeks ago. They don't play well on the road. They play these tight games, close games on the road. The only road game they had that was somewhat a double-digit victory was against Tennessee, but that's because Tennessee made a lot of mistakes and had a bunch of interceptions, and they only won by 10. Minnesota is a different team at home than they are it's a different team on the road than they are at home.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Rams this game, and we'll see what happens. I think Brown is back. He's not back yet.
I am back. Hold on one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One moment.
Okay, go ahead.
You got power
it's
now.
Wild over here.
Brian is doing a TikTok right now.
Now
he's on TikTok.
Yeah, there you go. Now you sound clear though. Okay.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, I don't know where I'm off because I gave a whole explanation about why I'm picking the Vikings, even though they lost to the.
We didn't hear none of it, bro.
Right,
so you can start over.
Go ahead. Yeah, start
over.
Say it again.
anyways, yeah. So I just feel like, I understand why people we're putting a lot of money on the Rams, because you absolutely have a situation in which, they lost to the Lions and 5 days later lost to the Rams. And here we are kind of doing a repeat of that process. But I have a feeling that they're going to find a way to win this game. I think it's going to be because of big plays on the defensive side, which is going to put them up in a situation where they can go and win that game. It will not shock me even a little bit if they ultimately losing. It's going to be. I'm rooting for my team. I believe that my team has a puncher's chance of winning this game. I believe if they win this, they get the Lions again, so they could be the only team that loses to two teams only in all season, and then come back and beat those two teams to advance if they do it. But look, I won't be shocked if it goes the other way. I have been vacillating whether or not I want to go to the game, because I don't want to be there for another loss. But I do think the Vikings will find a way to pull this out. This will go a long way to how my confidence in Kevin O'Connell goes for the rest of this year.
Go,
and the
man.
years
Your
prior.
team is in the playoff game right down your street.
You got to go. Dan
It's not
Campbell
right down
already
the street, but
said.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, Dan Campbell already said.
I don't know if
after-
y'all can. So first of all,
Go ahead.
I'm on battery power. It's black. It's like dark.
Yeah.
I have one room that has light right now. This is it. The walls are literally rocking due to the wind. It is
Crazy.
wild right now.
Yeah, Dan Campbell already said after y'all play last game, see you in 2 weeks. So he's already predicting victory against the Rams for you. So
Yep, he sure
we'll
did.
see. Yep.
He sure did. All right. So that's it, man. So that's the league right now as it sits. Let's talk about golf, and then, let Brian get hopefully hunkered down and safe out there, man.
Mhm.
So the TGL golf league started today. I actually very much enjoyed it. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy put together the Tomorrow Golf League. You got teams made up of, I'm going to say 4 golfers each. New York, Bay Area, Los Angeles, Boston, Jupiter, Florida. It's cool. It's a new way of watching golf with the tons of technology integrated with, able to see the guys' personalities and talk to the players and just see golf in a different way. And I enjoyed watching it today. It was just cool to see. So yeah. B, if we still got you, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, we got me.
Yep.
Yeah, we still got me, but it was so cool. I got so many text messages from people who were watching and saying, "Man, this is great." First of all, we've all played and everything else, but none of us have ever done that with real grass instead of pads, right? So when they went out and put the tee into the grass, tee up the ball, I was like, "Oh, all right." And then they got the real bunkers that undulate and adjust for each hole. It was really cool. They were having fun with it. They were, joking around and talking a little trash, and some of the players got booed here and there. And one guy was like, "Yeah, I'd boo me after that shot too." There was an absolute duff of these types of events. It wasn't steering the competitive yet, but I think this is the first thing. I think people were trying to have fun with it. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I've already committed to recording every single one of the episodes, the games this season.
Yeah.
I think there's like 8 before the playoffs, 7, 8, or maybe it was 9. But anyways, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Tiger and Rory were in the stands. They weren't playing. Their matchup is, I think,
2 weeks.
on Thursday, and I'll be watching that as well.
Yeah, it was fun. I thought it was a brilliant idea once I saw it. So Coop, if you haven't seen it, what they do is they build a stadium in Florida, and it's got a massive, like, the screen that they're hitting into, the simulator screen, is 24 times
5
as
stories.
big as you'd see. For like, if you went to, wherever they got a simulator, you hit the little screen, it's cool. You rock into it. This is massive. And then they're further back too. So like when you hit a shot, you're actually watching the ball fly a little bit, then it hits the screen and you see the digital version of it. And you got like, you can make, it's video game holes. You know what I mean? You got like diamond shaped fairways surrounded by water with an island green over it, because you could do that. You know what I mean? And then you hit, once you get close to the green within like 50 yards, they built a green on like platforms and risers that moves 100% to match whatever's on the screen. So you hit the ball and it rolls down, the whole joint shifts when you get over there. And now you have this putt that moves. And even if we're in the same place on back-to-back holes, the whole green is rotated and it's moved up and down to give you specific shots. So they have some other wrinkles in there. Like it was dope. It was a cool way
Okay.
to watch golf for, it's primetime golf. And if you're not into golf, I think it's great because you have the digital aspect. So you can kind of grab the younger viewer. You have the regular golf for all of us golf purists who love golf. You get the guys showing their personality, talking. You got merch. I think it's brilliant. I don't know if it's going to work, but I
What
think it's
channel does
great.
this come on?
It was on ESPN.
ESPN. Okay. Okay.
I thought it was great. Like what they're
It was on
trying to do
ESPN.
is
And
awesome.
Scott Van Pelt was doing the doing some
Yep.
color casting.
Okay.
Yep. He gave the intro to it, and it's great, man. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy as the main guys who started it.
Okay.
Bay Area Golf Club, which represents our area, beat New York Golf Club today, like 9-1 or something like that, or whatever it was. It was something crazy.
They smoked him. Yeah.
But
Wow. Okay.
it's cool, man. And then you got, Steph Curry, Andre Iguodala, big investors in the Bay Area Club. It's gonna be a trip. So it's a cool way of kind of fusing golf and the digital age.
Okay. All right. That's
So
what's
yeah,
up. I'll
so we'll
definitely
be
watch
checking
it.
on that. Was definitely very interesting. You'll see it all on Instagram tomorrow, I'm sure. They're gonna have clips everywhere. But yeah, so that's our show. Let's let Brian get up out of here. Let's do our last few segments. Game ball. Coop segment, you came up giving, your props to somebody. I guess so far it's been sports, but I guess it could be anything. So
Yeah.
who's your game ball go to?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I gave him a game ball earlier this year, but I'm gonna give it another one. It's Dan Campbell, and the reason why I'm giving it to him is because when they played last week, it was a game that everybody know they could have threw away. And they asked him, you didn't have to win that game because the game that really meant something was against Minnesota. He's like, no, we don't do that. That's a symbol of the culture change that the Detroit Lions have because of Dan Campbell.
Yep.
I noticed it when they started winning road games. Detroit doesn't beat good teams on the road. They were
They
beating
didn't.
good teams on the road.
Yeah, they
starting
didn't lose a
last
road
year.
game.
Yeah, well, last year they started beating road teams, and now they didn't use a road game here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you claim.
Yeah. So I'm giving it to Dan Campbell. I mean, I didn't expect that. Yeah, if they would have beat Minnesota, it wouldn't have shocked me, but I didn't expect it to go down the way it did. And so yeah, I got to give it to him because changing the culture is the hardest thing to do in sports, and he's definitely changed it. I'm not saying he's going to win Super Bowl because it's not guaranteed, but what he's done in Detroit is absolutely amazing. They might be able to get rid of those shirts they wear in Detroit that says rebuilding since 1957 because those are very popular out there because they
Yeah,
never
that's
won a
sad.
Super Bowl. So, but yeah, so it goes to him again.
When you give a position coach a job and let him have a couple years to figure it
Man,
out. Crazy how
man,
stuff works, even if they win
man,
3 games the first year.
man, man,
Crazy when you give them a
man,
little time, huh?
man, the only one.
Had a little time.
Go ahead,
B,
B.
game ball. Brian?
Yeah, it's hard. There's so many teams that had great performances. I'm going to give kind of like my own little rookie of the year because he's not going to get noticed, and I mentioned him earlier. Under the wire all season long.
Wait, say it again, Brian, because you cut out.
You cut out.
Say again.
Hello?
Think he cut out again.
Yeah, we might have lost him.
Yeah. If we lost him, I can go straight to.
Yeah, I was gonna give mine to the Tomorrow Golf League. It was cool to see and to
Okay.
create that stadium and get to do what they did. And then, man, they could license the golf holes to Top Golf and to Simulator. Oh man, it's brilliant. So it's cool to see.
I like that hip hop is a love of my life shirt. I like that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, from the
Yeah,
concert
yeah.
me and B went to last year.
B,
B, are you in?
Game ball for the. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
I was just saying, Lad McConkey, great year. He's not going to be in anyone's rookie of the year list because Brock Bowers and there's some Jaden Daniels and all that kind of stuff. But he's secretly had an outstanding season that's going to go under the radar because he's not as flashy as Puka Nakua's season and all that other good stuff. But he gets my game ball. But yeah, you get a game ball for that shirt, man.
Yeah, well, we were at the show together. He got a if he only had an elite quarterback. I'm messing around. Coop, what's
Well,
you got?
let B start with the hogwash because he might cut out later. Go ahead, B.
Yeah.
Hogwash.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hogwash that we were talking about this when it comes to college football, but that it made for a very exciting game. But that the Vikings either their 2 options were to be the number 1 seed and get a bye, or to get put on the worst side of the bracket where they have to play the number 1 seed in week 2. That just seems a little off to me. And so it's to the NFL who can't seem to figure these things out. There's no reason for the team with the second best record in the NFC to end up playing the team with the best record in the NFC in week 2 in the number 1 seed's first game. It's anticlimactic from a standpoint of what you want to see happen, and ultimately, it's a bunch of hogwash that they can't figure out how to make that work. I don't mind the seeding and giving the visions, but you've got to do it in a way that makes it a little bit more equitable to the great teams in the division or conference.
This felt pretty rare, but yeah, definitely. Coop.
My hogwash goes out to the University of Alabama. This right here proves to me that it's over for University of Alabama winning national championships in football. This is totally over. And I see why Nick Saban left. The Alabama athletic director put out a tweet a couple weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, asking people for money. Not the rich people, not the rich donors, just their regular fans that's averaging, $40,000, $50,000 a year, asking them for money to help with NIL. If they're asking these people for money to help with the NIL for, to get players and stuff, it's over for Alabama. They're not winning any more national championships. They don't have rich boosters. So these people make $50K a year, and he's asking them for money. So Alabama, now I see why Jim Harbaugh said a couple years ago they need to split the money. This NIL, these programs should not have so much a big NIL budget and others don't. They need to split
salary cap.
Yeah, they need to split it, and it looks like that's not happening no time soon. If this guy's putting out tweets begging for change, so it's to the University of Alabama, man. You ain't winning no more national championships.
Bruh said we like the kind of jingles, but we prefer the kind that falls.
All right, that part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn, tough.
That part. What's yours?
Man, I'm just gonna give it to I'm gonna keep it with this pattern of my team, man. I still think it's crazy to fire the dude after 1 year, especially with the roster we had and all the injuries. But I also understand it's a results-based business. So he was fighting an uphill battle from the very start, and he didn't have to fight too long.
That's hella funny.
Shout out to Antonio Pierce. All right, so then minute to win it. I'm just gonna quick one. Just thanks everybody for listening and thinking about all the people in Southern Cal.
Yeah. I'm same way. Echo that right there. B, if you can hear us, close it out.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, one thing I should have said, Gibbs for the game ball, 4 touchdowns in an absolutely massive game. He went off. He deserved that. My heart goes out to. I'm in the thick of it right now. Y'all can't even see what the walls are literally shaking in my house right. It's crazy. We're up to 100-mile-per-hour gusts of winds with 60 to 70 mile per hour change right now. And that is the same stuff that's hitting these people who are in the middle of fire zones that I haven't been able to check on while we've been doing the show. But this Altadena fire, which was relatively small when we started, is doubling in size constantly. And it's looking to be possibly the worst of the 2 fires between this and the Palisades, which has already wrecked millions and millions of dollars at home. The Getty Villa was on fire earlier, so it could even get into the billions of dollars of damage, depending on what happened there. This is just it truly is devastating. There's so much going on related to this wind and weather, and all of that should not take anyone's attention away from dictator Trump, who has reiterated his desire to bring military to Greenland. He called the Prime Minister of Canada the Governor of Canada, as in one of the United States. He has threatened to take over the Panama Canal and rename the Gulf of Mexico Gulf of America. And this was in the last 4 days. It's looking a little bit like the end of days at times when you have fires. There was a huge earthquake in China. Heart goes out to them. There were 100 people dead as of this morning, which got lost in the fire news and the wind news. But it's rough times. So my heart goes out to everyone who's dealing with it. Stay safe, do what you got to do, but keep your head up and keep it on a swivel.
And there it is. Sports Counterpoints, January 7th of 2025. We'll catch y'all next time.